for coming back. Thank you for listening. I'm having fun. I hope you're having fun. I hope you're learning some stuff. I hope you're finding your voice, your power, your strength, and all the things that you may have let sit on the side as you did your journey. Today, we have a fire talk with Dr. Christina Zelenis. Enjoy. Hi, Christine.
Hey, Chantra. How's it going?
Oh my God, it's going good. It's going better now because I have the wonderful opportunity to talk to you. I think this is so cool. I'm excited to share you. I'm with Christine Zelenis here. For those of you that are listening in the Proven Not Perfect community, Christine Zelenis is an amazing women's health doctor, physician. She's based here in Southwest Florida. Look her up. Oh my God. She's very well written about. She's very well awarded. And I think the beautiful thing about your awards, and I'm just going to share this because I relocated from Midwest to Southwest. And one of the scary things is leaving all of your knowns and finding them again. One of those very important people in my life has been my women's health physician. Very important. I've been spoiled. I'm going to give her a huge shout out, Dr. Erica Vaughn, who is a dear friend of mine, such a friend that we were pregnant with our second pregnancies at the same time. Wow. She delivered my child and then had hers 12 hours later. Like that's how crazy.
Way.
Yeah. Oh no. So you don't even know this, but I have a legacy of being spoiled by some of the best friends in this world to me being my physicians. So I went into your office a little like, I don't know.
That's quite a connection that you
and
have with her.
Oh, but I'm gonna tell you, you're amazing too. And I'm looking around and I'm seeing all these awards and I'm seeing that they're like People Choice Awards, right? So people nominate you. Like it's not, I mean, it's kind of cool if your fellow medical people do, but when people do it, there's something extra about it. So Christine Zelenis, we're going to talk, girl. We're just going to get into it. We're going to flow. I want to talk to you about, here's what I want to talk to you about. So I'm a mom. My oldest child happens to be a girl. The full-on drama and emotion of raising a girl. The cool thing is that her career is drama, so I guess it serves her a lot. But, you know, one of the things that's on my mind is that how they move is so different than when I was a girl, right? And I know you're a mom of a girl, so and a boy. Right. So you and I think we're spoiled because we have the viewpoint of both sides.
We do.
And so tell me,
we're so lucky.
When I say mom of girl, like what comes up for you? Like what is on your mind as a mom of a girl?
Got it. The first thing that comes to mind is just being a role model. That is your daughter. We are our daughter's first and most important role model. And they're going to look to us from infancy all the way through adulthood. And that connection is so strong. Don't you think? Like, I mean, there are studies about it. I've heard that children really need a good, strong same-sex parent because they're always kind of, you know, comparing and they're watching what we do and they emulate us, they imitate us. And then when they become teenagers, they don't want to be like us. Then it's like the opposite, right? Because it's like, well, that's babyish. I'm trying to carve out my own self. Yeah. And I'm now going to look more toward my peers and other influencers, you know, and influences to, you know, they're going to do this trial and error, which is a normal part of growing up and adolescence. And then I think what happens is, just going on my own like experience, it comes full circle. And now your mom is like the wisest sage advisor. Both your parents, they're like gurus, geniuses. You're like, okay, tell me what you think. Like,
Yes.
what do you think's going on with this? Like, what do you think's going to happen? And it's like, they have that, they have that life experience, and we have that life experience too. Cause we'll go and we'll tell our kids, well, you could see through it right away, like what might be going on with like friendships, or, if they have like a boyfriend or a girlfriend, and you can kind of say to them like, well, that's really shallow, and, don't like wear your heart on your sleeve, or, hey, they're just trying to be a good friend. So yeah, it starts with like, they're totally tied to us as little kids. And then as they become young adults, it's like, they got to pull away.
That's the part that scares me. So that's the part that scares me, because I kind of feel like, all right, if I go back circa 80s, mom was very strong. Like you said, very strong role model, right? Very strong.
Yes.
Holding it down in the house, and holding it down with her career, and holding it down with getting advanced degree. And I'm going to be frank, at that time, even, when mom and dad were both working, it really kind of fell on mom. It fell on my mom. So it was almost like my dad, he worked hard. Yes, of course. But my mom had to, any job that she took had to be on top of the family job. Does that make sense?
Or the household was,
yes.
there's culture, a lot of cultural influences.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
So what do you think when you think about the circles, right? So like, there's what our moms went through, and what we kind of saw and emulated and hated, quite frankly.
Yes.
There's what we went through, and then there's what our daughters are going through. And it's almost like, blow your mind, 3 different seasons in such a short period of time, just in the way life has been, right? Like,
yeah.
It's crazy.
Well, when I look back to my teenage years, I'm sure you can too, is like, there was rebellion there.
Yes.
I did some things. I wasn't really one of those crazy kids. I never really got into like major trouble or anything.
Yeah.
But there's definitely times when maybe we were hanging out with the wrong crowd, and we knew it was like not a healthy crowd, but it's cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or like, you were told you couldn't wear this or that, but you packed it in your bag and you put it on at school, we're going to do that because what do these people know? I mean, you don't know anything. And that's just so stupid, and that's old fashioned, and that's dumb. And it's, I remember back in the 80s, everyone was wearing like fluorescent colors and stuff. I was not allowed. I was not allowed to do that. That was like, trashy. I wasn't even allowed to wear like dangling earrings.
Oh my God, Christine.
Yeah, she was strict. They were
very strict.
Very strict. I wasn't like supposed to have makeup. It's like middle school. So, I would like obviously break those rules.
Yeah.
I'm the oldest, so maybe, and definitely think that we're maybe a little more strict with the oldest, because we're still learning, as we parent. So yeah, I don't know. They're just going to I tried to push away and in my own way, and I know they're going to push away, but what I learned from my relationship with my mom specifically is that, and she's proven not perfect too, of course. What I don't want to do is to have a very patriarchal position like that. I want to not be a best friend, because there's a line, but I want to have a more open relationship with my daughter.
Yeah.
Now, so there has to be a give and take. There has to be like, you got to kind of treat them differently than a little kid. You can't just oh, because I said this or because I said that. You got to kind of hear them out. And then they feel respected. They feel like you're respecting their growing up.
Do you feel like we're hearing them more than our parents maybe did? You said something, and I think it resonates for me because I feel like parenting now requires you to create space for the voice where, again, no offense to all the proven not perfect mommies from the past, right? That had different circumstances to deal with, including mine. Exactly. But I felt like we were not always given the space for voice. We were told a lot, right? We were told a lot. And I think they were probably told even more, right?
Yes, I'm sure that there is an evolution here. Because like cultural and modernization. So there will be change that happens. But, as we look back on our childhood, and we learn from positives and negatives, and we're going to try to evolve and take that and try to, be better parents or just be good parents. We just want to be the best that we can be, but we're not perfect. So, I think that I'll just give you a little insight. All right. I'm going to just go.
Tell us, girl.
This is telling. This is a good one. So when I was really little, I don't know, maybe 8 years old or something. See, my dad was a doctor and my mom was a nurse. She had retired from that to be a full-time stay-at-home mom. And I'm the oldest of 5 kids.
Wow.
Okay. So I had no idea how hard that job could be until I had I'm like, how did you do it? When I was 4 years old, my brother was like 2.5, and then she had twins.
Oh my God.
I can't even imagine. There was no such thing as like, getting a nanny or something like, but anyway, so I would see my dad. He was a lot of times picking me up from school because she couldn't, like from nursery school, that's what preschool is called, and kindergarten. And, he was the one who took me to my first day of like nursery school. I'll never forget. Cause like, how could she? She's got twin babies at home, but he's busy too, so he's got to go to the hospital. He's got an office. He was a urologist. It's funny because I'm a gynecologist. So I guess we keep it. It's a family affair, right?
That's right. You guys keep it down there.
Keeping it down there. It's a family affair down there, right? So I looked up to both my parents very much. And there were times when I would have like a toy set and it had like a stethoscope in there, and a little toy blood pressure monitor and stuff. You get stuff for Christmas. Yeah. And I remember getting taken to church, grew up Catholic.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting on the little like kneeling pad, and facing the opposite way. So where the seat was, I had a doll, and I was like pretending I'm like doctoring this doll and stuff, and church is going on. So I remember vividly was in the kitchen one day with my mom. And I was like, had my toys and stuff, my dolls and my doctor stuff. I said, she asked me maybe, what do you want to be when you grow up? I was like, I want to be a doctor. Cause my dad would pick me up from school and he would take me to the hospital with him because he'd have to check on patients and stuff before we went home. And sometimes I'd go to the nurse's station. They would give me little like snacks, and, this is back in the day now, so no judgment, but we would be left in the car. Yeah, but that was back in the day.
Girl, you're talking to a latchkey kid, so yes, I get it. Back in the day.
Oh my God. So I could go on and on about funny things. So I said to my mom, I want to be a doctor when I grow up. Oh no, I said I want to be a nurse when I grow up. I want to be a nurse like you were a nurse. And she's the one, the first one who turned around and said, you do not need to be the nurse. You can be the doctor.
Wow.
Because as a little girl, you're thinking, well, I'm going to role play and just be the female, because the woman is the nurse and the man is the doctor, right? But no, she said it and it got here.
Wow.
So then
went right in your brain. Went right in your brain.
So she put it there. She did. And I was like, oh, okay, whatever. And then as time went on, I grow up and I go off to medical school. And before that in college, she's like, you really should go into OBGYN because there's not enough women in the field, and you would be like so great at it. You're really caring, and it would be a really great thing for you to consider. So she was really a big influencer on me. My dad was too, because I'm looking up to that, but she really changed my thinking.
Wow.
And that's kind of a more modern spin on her because she's kind of old fashioned, you know what I mean?
Yes.
But here's the crazy thing again. I'll tell you something so funny. This is a good one. All
right.
I was about to go off to college. I was like 18 years old, right? And you get those like papers you got to fill out, like when was your last physical exam, your immunizations, if female, pelvic exam, whatever. So I had asked her, I'm like, well, I'm 18, and I was not sexually active yet. And I said, when do I get to go to a gynecologist? And I had these horrible periods. They were like so horrible, painful.
I was in the horrible, painful period club. Yes.
Oh my God. It was so bad, but you get told, oh, put a heating pad, have a cup of tea.
Yes. Sit in a tub of water.
Yes. I'm not cutting it.
Oh.
I really wanted to go on a birth control pill because I heard, that helps and stuff from friends. But so I mentioned to her, I was like, so when am I going to go see a gynecologist? Like, I'm 18. She freaking lit into me.
Oh no.
She goes, oh, what do you need that for? And you only need to go if you're sexually active. What do you get? And I'm like,
wow.
I was like in tears. I was like, and then that negative part she put there,
yeah,
shot me down. Then it stuck in me. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to be an OBGYN. I'm going to have as much birth control as I want. I'm going to take that and be like, I got pills. I got IUDs.
Well, I'm glad she did that because I'm going to tell you this, as I talked to my mom and her peer group, right? They did not have a lot of female doctors.
No, they didn't.
Most of them, I think I was delivered by a male doctor. Mm-hmm. I think my sister might have been the same. I think there were only male doctors. I'm going to tell you this. I am so grateful that dynamic changed as I started to grow because, nothing against male doctors, but how about only a female can really understand what a female is going through?
We do.
I think it's a different conversation. It's a
yeah. And and in defense of the guys, I could say this. I mean, a lot of the male OBGYNs, like the whole field has changed. Before it used to be, like my mom said, with me, because I was her first, she wanted to do everything right. She took Lamaze classes. She wanted a natural delivery. And when she went into labor with me, they took all that away from her. They put the gas on her because they would like gas you and do a twilight delivery. You're not even awake for it.
Oh my God.
Yeah, this is back in the day. And they put forceps on the baby and just pull it out. There you go. You wake up. There was like, you really had no choice. Your voice was silenced.
That is giving me chills.
Yes.
I'm constricted by hearing and appreciating what those experiences must have been like. And I know you're telling the truth, right? Like
I am. I know it from a professional standpoint. But as time has gone on, women have been given more of a voice, and we have become more liberated. I don't want to like make myself sound like a big old feminist, like crazy woman, sometimes there's like a bad image, but
girl, be your feminist self. It's okay.
Be my feminist
it's not bad. It's not bad.
Like, don't let those.
There are levels, right?
There are levels,
I think that we've gotta reclaim certain positions in life, right? Like I know I am a feminist, but I also know that I have beliefs that some who share that title with me don't believe, right? And it's all okay. It's all our truth. It's all our truth.
Right. Because like,
so what is feminine? Okay, so that we're both standing in our truth, how would you personally just define feminism for yourself?
Okay. Feminism for me is, first, I am a woman and I am a very feminine person. Mm-hmm. You know, I get dressed up at work. Yes. I'm like the only person wearing heels over there.
Love it. It's like the haute couture show when you walk into the room. I'm like, I love her.
I love to get dressed up. It makes me feel good. I like to have pretty clothes and, you know, makeup, and I put jewelry on. I don't know. I love that. It resonates with me. I feel pretty. I'm feminine. And what am I getting dressed up for? People say, like, you know, it's all a bunch of women. And like, I'm getting dressed up. I said, I dressed up today for you because I want to come in here and I want to look good for not just for you, but for me too. It just, you know, puts a smile on everyone's face. I don't want to look all dumpy, you know, that's just me. Feminism also for me means breaking barriers and stereotypes and trying to give a better like image of strength and that smart is beautiful to our younger people, not just my younger patients, but our daughters. Smart is pretty.
Yes.
You know, you can be feminine, but you can also be smart, and you could do anything you want. You could
strength.
Yeah, you could be an engineer. You could be, you know, somebody who works at NASA, astronaut. You could go into the Army. You could go into the Navy. You could be a nurse if you love that and you want to be a nurturer. That's great. You know,
you can be a stay-at-home mom.
Let me tell you, I tell my patients this. I was a stay-at-home mom for a year and a half.
I was for 2 years as well. 2 years.
Harder than going to my job as an OBGYN. I would rather do a hysterectomy and be on call, because let me tell you, when you're home, there are no breaks.
Yeah.
It keeps going. And there's so little respect. There is, because you just looked at as like, oh, you know, you have it easy. No, it's very hard.
Very hard.
You are your own worst critic. You will push yourself more than anybody, any boss or any, you know, I think. So it was really hard on me. And so
I love that level set of what feminism is, because I think that there's, again, we're in this place of shaping and all that stuff. And so many people have their own definitions. And I think in conversations, just balancing with what does it mean to me gives people a perspective of what you're thinking about. A lot of your definition resonates with me. I think when you think of feminists, it's really, to me, pulling that strength from within as a woman that allows you to claim your voice, to own your voice, to have agency over yourself, over your life, and to push for what you believe is real and value creating for you and for others. Like, I hear the word feminism, I think of power as a woman. Like, that's what I think.
And it's okay to have emotions. You're not weak.
No.
It's okay to look at things in a more feminine way, nurturing.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean you're the weaker sex. The two sexes are supposed to complement each other.
Yes. And be empathetic and compassionate. Like,
exactly.
You're not weak because you might be emotional about something.
Right. And same for guys. Like, if they're feeling emotional or something, I don't want them to feel like, with my son, I don't want you to feel like the only way to express emotion is anger.
Yes.
That's not like having tears or sadness or frustration. Talk it out more. We as women talk things out more. We're better with like expressing ourselves and getting it out.
But we feel that we had permission.
We did have
permission. Because I really do believe our boys, dads tend to pull out of boys more that suck it up. Yeah. Whereas moms tend to counterbalance it with, are you okay?
Yeah. Can we talk?
How are you feeling? What's hurting you?
Yeah.
Not physically, but emotionally, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. That's so true.
Okay. So you got to tell me this. So now that we've sort of laid this foundation for what feminism is, we talked a little bit about generational with mom. Now, and some of the things that we had to deal with ourselves as we made choices, tough choices, like you saying, I'm not going to be the nurse, I'm going to be the doctor. Now we talk about our daughters and the images that flood their phones.
Yes.
all the time. And I'm going to tell you, one of the things that I'm not okay with, and this is not just for my daughters, but it's for my sons, right? Which is when we give our power to one aspect of ourselves, right? So said another way, as growing women, as young women, we absolutely do have a power that comes with our presence and our femininity, right?
Yes.
No different than anything else in life. And maybe this is the Libra in me. It's about balance. It can't all lie on the fact of one's beauty, one's sensuality, sexuality.
Yes.
It's all of it, right? It's your brains, it's your drive, it's your tenacity, it's your resilience, and it's the other things too. But all of the images that we see, all show just one aspect, and then the rest you're left to figure out when these women are doing great things, whether it's in music or entertainment of some sort or whatever, business, whatever it is, right? But you can tend to see these images that all sort of cater around one lane. Like, what am I imagining?
Like looks, looks. Yeah, like, okay, what are you, hot? Do you have a big butt? And
the girls are seeing this all the time.
All the time.
What if so now I'm 17. I come into your doctor's office and you're trying to, assess my being. And I'm telling you that, I don't know, I wish I were thinner. I wish I were this. I wish I were that. Like, how do you give guidance to these young ladies that have these phones that are telling them in a so much louder way than a magazine used to tell us, right? In a so much louder way. Like, how do you instruct these young ladies? I know I'm like really getting in there, but to help some people.
That's really hard to compete with the phones and the electronics. It's super hard to compete. But as they grow up, they're just, it's starting to get a little bit better. I don't know if you noticed, some websites are putting up models that are bigger.
Yes.
And they're not perfect. And that is so great.
Yes.
Because bodies don't look like that perfect image all the time. Nobody does. And
people aren't doing filters as much anymore, right?
That's right.
That's helpful too, because everyone's skin is not flawless 24/7, if at all.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so you start to see it. But they've done studies. The more you go on social media, the more you have depression and anxiety, because
Wow.
on the social media, who's posting like the bad time, really? Like, oh, I'm out with my significant other and we're having such a great time and we're taking this nature hike and it's fun. But you're not seeing, what else goes on behind closed doors. And so you're
Yeah.
just thinking like you might have had a fight, you might have you're having a really bad time, but they don't. So I guess what's wrong with me? So there are
Mm.
studies about this. And, I try to tell my daughter, I'm like, you really shouldn't go on it that much, because the more you are, the more you start to compare. And
Yes.
then you tend to like, just in your subconscious, it's like, well, I wish I were having fun. They're out having fun, but I'm not having fun right now. And I've got these responsibilities and I got to do this and for whatever. Yeah. So there's a lot of comparing going on, but I don't know. I guess, I mean, I tell people, of course, like that beauty and intelligence starts with you.
Mm.
And, eating right and eating healthy foods nourish your physical self, and getting exercise, but you don't need to do anything in excess.
Yes.
And your education is one of the most important things that you can do for yourself to make yourself strong and make yourself independent, because no one can take that from you.
Amen.
No one can take away your education. And then that's very empowering when you feel like you have, your education. You're gonna like rely on that for going forward, for getting work, a job, a career. So you want to nourish your physical being with good, healthy food and good, healthy exercise, but you've got to nourish your mind too.
Ooh, that is, I think that is like a new relevant way to say what I know. My mom said to me, right? And dad, your education is the most important thing. Your education is the most important thing. And what you just said there, in a 2022 way, is nourish your body with the food and exercise, but don't forget the mind.
Oh, you have to, yes.
And it doesn't stop at just like a degree, right? Like what you're saying is be informed, like stay informed.
Right. Well, when we get educated, our mind grows and we gain new perspective, and our mind stays flexible. So sometimes when we're going through school, and I tell my daughter and my son too, I know you don't like taking this class. It doesn't seem useful. When are you going to use geometry? When are you going to use all that? But it does, your mind grows and it stays flexible, and it allows you to look at things in a different way. It just, I mean, look at other countries, they don't want to educate their women when they're oppressing, or educate anybody, because when people stay ignorant, then you can be controlled.
Ooh, girl, chill.
And that's very true.
Yes.
Because some cultures, they don't have the freedoms that we have. The media is controlled. The women are told to stay home. They must, conform to certain ideals. And they really don't continue to get educated. And that's how you control. That's how you control people, with ignorance. They're ignorant. And that is so sad.
Yes. Agreed.
Then they can't, their mind is not flexible. They can't see things from different angles. And they're kind of just like stuck in a narrow way of thinking, But we always have to keep learning. And in the Western world, we're not that good at emotional hygiene and controlling our emotions. So that's something we can learn also. Whereas the Eastern world, they're very good at, meditation and more mindfulness and compassion. So that's something that we need to build. So I think society here in the US, we're really good at like placing a lot of value on the physical, like, oh, you need to look hot.
Yeah.
Don't eat this, work out, got to go to the gym, that can, although, we still have a big problem with obesity and that's sad, and being misinformed, about what to eat and things like that. But
because people are still doing all the things that they think they should, but because they don't understand the science of the body, they're not eating, and it's not working for them. In fact, it's working against them.
Yeah, well, they can become victims of marketing, and they become victims of the food industry and all the garbage and the fast food, and it's convenient and quick. But so we want to be healthy physically. We need to be healthy mentally, and the mental is not just education, but it's also a balance of like emotional well-being as well as academics and education. So there's kind of like, the mind is even more complicated than the physical being,
It's so true. It's so I would call all of this sort of more of a holistic approach to your being, right? And not leaning on any one side of it, and making sure that you're attuned to the mental, emotional piece, along with the physical nourishment, not only food, but of exercise, right? It's that whole thing.
Exercise is a great outlet for a lot of the anxiety that's going on. I mean, we're so overcharged now. We're information overloaded. We have a short attention span.
Yeah.
Everything's coming at us so fast. So try to get some of that out by doing some physical activity, where, a lot of us are sitting around not doing much.
Especially coming out of 2022. Okay, so let me ask you this. Lifelong habits. If you were to give your younger self 3 things that you would start back then, that now would have served you so well.
Yes.
What would those 3 things be that you would make your lifelong habit?
Okay. Don't eat that junk food.
Oh,
it doesn't serve you. It just makes more problems.
Yes.
Don't eat that stuff, because
all right, check.
And get some exercise, or go outside. Well, we did go outside and play a lot, but
we did.
I mean, exercise it was mostly like, exercise was like something you did in gym class, and that wasn't like, it was so annoying. It was like, and my brothers were more the ones to be involved in sports. My sister and I weren't. So there's kind of that stereotype there too.
So play sports.
I could play sports, but I'm not a good sports player. I'm more of an individual kind of, I do well in cycling classes, or like on the elliptical. So I'm not really, everybody has their own thing. So try to find something that you like to do.
Okay.
So
check 2.
Check 2. Third thing I would tell my younger self, be more organized. More organized, because when you're not that organized, and it's easy to get lazy and let things kind of just like clutter build up and things, that just makes you more anxious.
Yes.
I need to work on that now. Like, that's just...
I got the person for you. In fact, we taped a podcast. So I got the person for you. She has an organizing business. She's amazing. Yeah.
Oh, I need that so much. Like, Yeah.
Tailored Life, shout out to you.
I need that. You got to share that with me.
Yes, I will.
Sure.
I will. The Tailored Life. She's amazing. All right. So before I let you go, because this has been amazing, but I know that you actually have to go back and do doctor things. So when I say the word courage to you, what comes up?
Courage. What first comes up is don't be afraid.
Ooh.
Then when I think of that, the word fear, it's a limiting thing, and you're only afraid of something that you're letting it make you scared. So you have to look at it in a different way.
Yes.
So if something's making you scared, let's say somebody is kind of like scaring you, like bullying you maybe, nothing is as it appears.
Ooh.
So try to look at the situation a little differently and see the other person's side. Maybe probably they're the ones that are hurting even more than you. And just realize that there's always another side to it, and there's a different way of looking at it. So fear is a natural instinct, and we're all going to be scared sometimes. Sometimes we have to pull back and just look at it a little differently, because our own initial perceptions, they're not usually spot on. So
courage is not being afraid, and digging into that more is appreciating that fear is innate, but it's how you deal with it, how you turn it around.
Yeah, you got to turn it around.
Yeah, allow it to show you the real situation. Wow.
You could also take that negative experience and turn it into a positive, like it's, say that you had some operation and you're like afraid, and you go in and you have that surgery done, and it's just, and you say like, okay, I'm going to take that negative and I'm going to make it into a positive. I never want that to happen again. So I'm going to change my lifestyle. I'm going to, maybe quit smoking, or I'm going to like eat better or something like that. So you can, you can take that fear and you can motivate you to be a better person.
Wow.
You can channel that. So that's another, because we learn more from our negative experiences than we do from our positive ones.
True. We focus on the negative ones for sure.
We do. So when we get scared, it's usually because something negative is coming at us. But take a deep breath, give it a minute, and say to yourself, okay, this is not going to take me down. It's not going to define me. I'm going to get through this. And when I get on the other side, I'm going to be smarter and I'm going to be stronger, because that's usually always what happens.
Amen.
You grow from that.
Dr. Christine Zelenis, I'm going to tell you, girlfriend, if that last point did not really drive it home for people, then they might have to start the podcast over and start all over again. Here's the thing. Life is so big, and we will all go through so many things, and it's how you position yourself to go through it. We are all proven not perfect, whether you know it yet or not, right?
Of course.
But, what you pack to get you through the tough times is so super huge. Thank you for all that you do. Thank you for spending this time and community and conversation, and inspiring us to be better and pushing for our best.
And you too. Thanks for inspiring me too.
Oh, thank you so much.
And pushing me out of my comfort zone to do a podcast.
I know, like, what the heck? Who comes into my office and says, "Doctor, will you do a podcast with me?"
And I just said, yeah, sure, of course. Cause I don't want to be like,
You are the best.
I was
Best
scared, but I was like,
what the heck?
just talk, just let it flow, just
Yes.
whatever.
And that's what we did. And this was fun. I'm hugging you. I'll
Yes.
see you soon. And thank
All
you.
right. Thanks, Audrey.
Bye.
Bye.